Welcome to Thursday. It's April 15th, 2021. Well, folks, the weather across the region is just miserable. There's no way around it. We are going to be looking at very cold conditions with off and on cold and off and on snow today through Friday. We do see a little bit of a break in the weather this weekend, but I tell you, folks, it is going to be pretty miserable. We're going to continue to have travel and livestock concerns through early Saturday. We've got many road closures right now as we record this video and this podcast, and it's going to be hard to get roads open with off and on snow and very cold temperatures and brisk winds, especially along sections of Interstate 80 and the higher elevation roads in Wyoming and Colorado. But we're going to have some slick roads across portions of Kansas and Nebraska and South Dakota as well. Now, there is a modest, very modest break in the weather this weekend, but relative to what we're suffering through right now, the weekend actually is going to be a lot better, especially Sunday. But unfortunately, another strong cold front is going to barrel in from the north Sunday night into Monday, bringing more cold and more snow possible. However, there could be a light at the end of the tunnel. Question mark, question mark. It's not a train. I do see maybe some relief from this cold weather coming, and we'll show you when we might think that's going to be. Speaking of angry villagers, I come in very early each morning to work, and this was the scene outside my office this morning. I'm just joking, but kind of feels that way when you have prolonged cold like this and you think that you're going to have some angry villagers coming after you if they hear one more bad forecast. And unfortunately, 3/4 of this podcast is bad weather-wise. However, we'll get to the good news here in a bit. Now, here's where we are right now. We have this area of low pressure just about centered over Salt Lake City by noon today, drifting slowly through the region. It's not a terribly strong storm, but it's got cold air, unstable air, and there's a fair amount of Pacific moisture with it overrunning the cold air on the ground. You can see that it's going to move very slowly through the region over the next 48 hours. So for today, tonight, and Friday, it's not continuous snow chances, but off and on, with a lot of clouds, brisk east upslope winds, and chilly temperatures. These are our temperatures by this afternoon relative to average. So you can see all the purple, the blue, and the green, which really means that's where the coldest air is going to be. Where you see the yellow or the oranges, well, the cold air is not getting into those areas just yet, and you're going to be west of the divide a little bit protected. But if you're east of the mountains, there's no escaping the cold. Now, through the next 72 hours, this is what the precipitation looks like. Again, nothing like the March storm, but we've got light to moderate amounts of moisture coming in the form of this snow, and you can see a real dominating area east of the divide where most of the blue is, where you can see the heavier conditions in the upslope. So parts of Kansas, Nebraska, eastern Colorado, eastern Wyoming, picking up more needed moisture. The mountains, the high country of Colorado, over the next 72 hours, parts of the Wasatch Front as well, going to be picking up some needed snow to give a late season snowpack boost to the mountains of Montana, Wyoming, and Colorado, and parts of Utah and even northern New Mexico. As we go forward, though, as we get into the weekend, a couple things I want to point out. Now, this is for late Saturday. We still have a broad area of low pressure getting squeezed out, but the low is weakening by Saturday and the Sunday. So this will lead to some improvement. But the problem we have for the weekend is you notice the wind barbs. This shows which way the wind is coming from. So you can see that the winds are coming from the north aloft, pulling in some colder air. So even though we have weakening low pressure, and even though I do see some sun coming in this weekend, especially Saturday, it's just going to be a very modest warm-up. You can see we still have a powerful, very big ridge sticking up all the way into the north slope of Alaska as we get into the weekend, which is causing the air to be displaced from here and displaced south. And as we've shown you over the last couple of days, this little ripple here in the jet stream is a weather disturbance heading due south. The source region for the cold air with this wave right here is coming from the Northwest Territories and just off the Arctic Circle. So there's a pocket of really cold air coming in behind this wave that's headed due south. So after a modest break in the weekend, here it comes. This is for noon Monday, and you can see that there's a broad trough and a cold front, and what you can't see here is the cold air on the surface. I'll show you that here in a minute. And there's actually another little wave coming in behind it. So despite our modest warm-up this weekend, Monday and Tuesday will turn sharply colder, and there's a lot of forecasts out there that are way too optimistic for Monday and Tuesday. I could see Monday and Tuesday, some areas not even getting out of the 20s and 30s, and there is going to be some snow with it as well. These are temperatures relative to average by Monday afternoon. You see the purple there? So Monday the week is just going to start off with miserably cold conditions again. And as we go into Tuesday, to show you the extent of the cold air, look at Texas, look at parts of New Mexico, look at that pocket of really, really cold air sinking down into there to start the week, and the cold even spreads into the Great Lakes. Notice here, though, in the Pacific Northwest and Western Canada, where that high pressure ridge is, relative to normal, it's warmer. So we got to get that red and orange into here. How do we make that happen? Well, I'll show you that right now. This is temperatures, the forecast for Friday, relative to average. What this means is in about 7 or 8 days, this is the light at the end of the tunnel. We may see the colder air retreat more to the east here, as you can see it, and allow some of that warmer west coast air to get pushed in as the winds aloft become more westerly. And this is where we have it by next Friday and Saturday, a Pacific flow into the high plains and Rockies, not one coming in from the north like we have right now. So you got to change the wind directions aloft to bring in a different air mass. And that's exactly what we see. A little bit of high pressure comes in late next week. So if you were to ask me, when will it maybe feel like spring again? Probably next Friday and Saturday is when you're going to notice it. If we get lucky, maybe on Thursday, but colder than normal until then. These are temperatures by next weekend. So you can see a push of much warmer air coming into the area. Now, keen observers, though, will see this warmth and get excited, but also see this pocket of cold up there. We still got a lot of cold air in the northern latitudes. So there's still going to be some ups and downs. But we're talking around April 25th or so, so we're getting close to May. But we still have to keep an eye on these pockets of cold air. Looking even further out for the 30th of April, now we're going to give you a question mark here. Not sure that this will transpire, but right at the end of April into the beginning of May, long-range charts are hinting at a high pressure ridge and warmer air coming into the region right here at the end of the month, while the colder air is more towards the Great Lakes and east. And I think that the possibility of this regime, I think, is actually fairly good. It's something that we're going to keep an eye on. So I'm showing you here some hope that our winter weather that we have right now is going to eventually wear itself out, but it's going to be 6 or 7 or 8 days before that happens. Thanks for listening to watching the Day Weather Podcast. We'll see you on Friday.